So if you've ever wanted to know the strategy of how your home service business can actually make you millions of dollars and actually create some wealth in your life, I want to make this piece of content directly for you today. And I'm literally just sharing from my 16-year track record running a home service business. I'm Dave Moerman. I'm CEO at Home Service Business Coach, and I'm 35 years old now. And I got my start in home services all the way back when I was 19 years old. And I believe I figured out a way in how I've been able to make my home service business profitable and generally move profits from that business and create long-term wealth for myself. So there's really three key principles that I want to break down in this training for you. And I think there's going to be like a ton of value because honestly, I just feel like people don't talk about this stuff enough. And this isn't direct financial advice from me, your financial advisor. This is literally just me peeling back the onion saying, hey, this is literally the strategy that worked for me. And I think you're going to get a ton of value from this that you could say, man, this is gold. If I just apply this wisdom, this training into my service business, I want to be able to do the same thing. Okay. So the first really key principle I want to drive home, again, we don't talk about this enough. This is the principle of delayed gratification. Okay. In our world today, 2025, 2026, people want stuff really fast, right? Speed is very attractive, and I totally understand that as a consumer. But when it comes to growing a business, when it comes to growing your trades business, those that actually can be patient, I think are the ones that are going to win in the long term. Ultimately, like what drives success in business, in my opinion, is just staying in business. And so if you're watching this, my opinion, if you're still working like a 9 to 5 or have a stable income, it's always worked for me now 3 times in a row launching my business that I've kept my 9 to 5. I've kept my stable income and I've hustled this thing on the side, whether that's working evenings, weekends, holidays, whatever the case may be. That's what I strongly believe because I see every single week people say, I'm going to burn the ships. I'm going to go all in. And their business concept yet is not completely proven and they don't actually have income coming in. And so they end up putting themselves and their family in this really tough financial spot. Because here's the thing, again, people don't talk about your business in the first, I would say 3 years, it's going to just suck cash flow. As long as you're growing, it's going to suck cash flow. And if you're growing aggressively, it's going to suck even more cash flow. So if you've got your business in infancy stages sucking cash flow and you're over here saying, hey, my family also needs to take out 10 or 12 or $15,000 a month to power our home, it's going to be really tough to have your cake and eat it too. So I've just found generally more success in going a little more sweat equity in those first 36 months, keeping the money in the business so that you can keep investing in it and get it growing. And then you can start to pull and pay yourself. And eventually the goal is you lift your head up and you say, man, I don't need this business anymore. For me, it was running another painting business at the time, which was in a franchise. I was making about $120,000 a year, fueling a pretty good lifestyle for me being single at the time while I was hustling up my pressure washing business. So I wasn't needing to take any money out of that until I could get the thing making 120 grand on the bottom line. And that's when I said back in, it was like 2019 moving into 2020, I said, I don't need this 120 grand anymore for my painting business. I'm going to go all in on my cleaning business and get that now the main cash flow generator. So that's kind of the swing that you can create when you delay gratification. And here's the other thing. You want to do your best with managing cash flow. Again, this isn't talked about a lot, but what I generally see in my experience is you don't want to be buying brand new equipment or brand new vehicles, especially the brand new vehicles in my case, right? If you look at my track record, 16 years in business, I've invested in 13 pre-owned vehicles, a lot of them vans, some of them trucks, some cars for our sales team. I'm always buying pre-owned, right? It wasn't until like 2 years ago, I actually bought my first new vehicle, always buying pre-owned. And I just believe in paying cash for vehicles and being financially responsible, right? And I'm not saying to go out and buy a $70,000 pre-owned vehicle, right? I just looked at my business and said, look, I'm choosing to put team members in these vehicles. So I want to get them a few years old and I'm going to invest in a $3,000 to $5,000 full wrap. I'm going to wrap them, make them look super nice. And then they're going to look newer but I know I'm gonna have team members taking tools in and out of them, driving them around town. Like 16 years in business, just if you watch 30 seconds of this, people will never take care of your equipment as well as you will take care of it. So if you're choosing the decision, planting a flag in the ground, I want employees, I want to scale, you're literally deciding, in my opinion, your equipment is not going to be carelessly taken care of, but it won't be taken care of to the same degree that you will as the owner of the business. That's just like the cold hard truth. And so for me, I chose to buy pre-owned and go with the wrap so that I don't have these big payments coming up, right? As interest rates go up and down, the economy does funky roller coasters. I want that peace of mind that any equipment, any gear, any vehicles I look at in my company, any Christmas lights, everything's been paid for, so that you can look at your business and say, I've got, 100,000, 200,000, whatever the number is, in paid for assets. It's a great feeling. And then you can have your bandwidth to actually grow the business and not be worried about the financial burdens of the business. Because when you got payroll and you got rent and you got insurance and marketing, you've already got enough worries in the business. Let's take care of what we can by being financially responsible. And that just comes for me with delaying gratification, right? It's not sexy to say you drive a pre-owned vehicle, but I will tell you some sage advice before we move on to the next point. When I had my painting business for 10 years, my paint rep pulled me aside one day. He said, Dave, I sell paint to over 300 companies. He said, yours is one of the few that's actually making money. Why is that? We just did residential work because it was quick cash turnaround and they were well bid jobs. We could make 30% on net profit every single job. And we drove pre-owned vehicles. I had 3 vans at the time, each with a crew leader and a painter that could each go out and produce jobs every single week. And we had great cash flow in the business. That's how I was able to pull that $120,000 and effectively just be a sales rep in that business. So that's delaying gratification. Stay away from the fancy trucks, the fancy doodads. That stuff does not put jobs on the calendar. Number 2. You want to delegate to increase your earning potential, okay? One of my mentors, Dan Martell, great, brilliant book called Buy Back Your Time. Highly recommend reading that. But what Dan basically says, and this is something I've been saying, is you want to get a 4x wage multiple, okay? If someone can do your job for 25% of what your time's worth, delegate that bad boy all day long. So a really simple example, if you're running a window cleaning business, I want you to look in the mirror and say, hey, today, going forward, my time as Eric, owner of the window cleaning business, and my time's worth $100 an hour. So if you've made that decision, you look in the mirror, I'm worth $100 an hour. If you can get a technician for $25 an hour in your local market to go clean windows, you should take that deal all day long because it's called opportunity cost, right? It's the cost of you going and cleaning windows for $25 an hour. You're missing out on that $75 gap you could be making every single hour of every single day that you're working in or on your business, right? And I learned this with my painting business. My time was best spent going Tuesdays and Thursdays in a nice polo shirt. This isn't polo shirt, but a little collar on it. And I would go out and do estimates in person. I knew if I did 3 estimates in one day, you could do that in half a day easily, I would book one of those jobs. And our average job size was about $3,500, of which I'd make 30% on. So I could go out for a morning and I knew for sure I'd make about $1,200 on one of those sales that I would make. So I was able to value my time at a lot higher than if I was painting trim or, sanding drywall or caulking baseboards. I knew my time was better spent in selling. The problem with trades, a lot of owner operators come out of environments where they are the best painter or they are the best window cleaner. And so they think that is their hack that's going to actually grow them to success. It's actually going to screw you over and hold you back. I didn't come out of a trades background. I learned from day one how to run a business with this mentorship program I went through as a student painting company. Of course, I learned how to paint. I learned eventually how to clean windows and gutters, right? You can teach yourself that, but the technical skills are going to create a living. You're going to be able to make a living with your technical skills. You can make a bloody fortune if you learn business skills, if you learn sales and marketing, and eventually learn how to hire and manage a team. Those are the skills that actually make you wealthy. And how you create those skills is you learn to actually delegate. Hey guys, I just wanted to be transparent with you and take a super quick break in the show here. And I wanted to first off thank you. We've actually been recognized as the top podcast for business coaches in Canada, which is absolutely an amazing accomplishment. And the only reason we've been able to do that is because of the loyal listeners like yourself. So I want to ask you one thing is if you haven't yet, please leave us a rating here on our show, whether on Spotify or on Apple, which will tell these search engines that, hey, this podcast is pretty legit for home service business owners. And the other thing you can do for us, and we would just love this so much, is our team celebrates, as yours does as well, anytime we get one of those precious Google reviews. And at time of this recording, we have 170 of them. If you can take the 2 minutes and go over to Google, put in Home Service Business Coach, and leave us a Google review if you're getting value from what we're giving you here on this podcast, it would mean the absolute world to me. So without further ado, let's get back to the show. And I can't wait to see you leave us a review this week. And again, if we're just taking a 30-second soundbite from this, literally right now, if you want to hit your record best year in business, get out of the field and get out of the office. That's it. If you can go and make yourself a salesperson in your company, you've got the structure for a $500,000 business right now in your business. If you're going to find yourself cleaning windows or answering phone calls or on job or dragging and dropping or answering customer requests, you're building like a $250,000 business right now, right? So it just comes down to what you actually want from your business, and you've got to learn the skills of delegating. Like that's the best skill set you can learn in 2025 is how to delegate tasks off your plate so that your team can do them. And this doesn't happen overnight, but it needs to be a conscious decision that you say, look, effective April 15, 2025, or whatever the date is, circle it on the calendar. I'm not going to clean anymore, or I'm not going to pick up the phone anymore in the office because I'm hiring somebody to do that. That's the best thing you can do in your business right now. So we're going to delay gratify. That's how we're going to make our best year in business. We're going to actually delegate so we can increase that earning capacity and value our dollar of time per hour and not go and do lower value tasks in the business. That's the second thing we're going to do. Here's number 3, one of my favorites. You want to actually find a way to build wealth outside of your business. And here's the thing, I just want to bust a myth right now, right? You may search on YouTube, if you're watching this on YouTube, remote cleaning business, and you're going to see passive income, right? Oh, we can build our business in a different state and let the cleaners go out and just get, mailbox money. It's traditionally been my experience that you can build systems to have your business operate without you. But I generally don't see businesses run well or profitable when the business owner is completely hands off, right? I'm talking not checking in for weeks at a time. Just generally don't see that being a good thing. And so it's my opinion that a home service business, again, window cleaning business, painting business, it's an active business. You want to have that owner operator either selling jobs or running team meetings or putting a manager in place. You want them generally active in their Slack group or coming to team meetings or going and meeting key customers. Here's the kicker though. You take the profits generated from that trades business and you keep investing in the business, yes, but you need to be responsible and think long term. Let's pretend we don't sell this thing for 7 figures down the road, as most businesses don't. How can I actually build my nest egg outside my business, take some chips off the table so that I can have this good cash flowing business, but I can have some wealth generation over here? It started for me back in 2012. I bought my first real estate property from the cash flow made from my painting business, right? And then in 2016, I did the same thing. I went and bought a property across the street that had multiple suites to be rented out. And fast forward today, 8 years later, that thing has went up a lot in value because I took the investment originally put in from my painting business, from my home service business. I put it into real estate and I let the thing operate. Of course, there was toilets that were leaked and things I had to deal with. Absolutely, there was some sweat equity involved. But generally, if I didn't do that, I would be missing a whole lot of income that's helped build my wealth today. And so you want to look at, if we're playing baseball, getting to first base is literally driving profit from your business, and ideally driving profit from your business without you, the owner, being on the tools or being in the office, right? And ideally, if you can scale up, like for me, I haven't been in the sales in my company for the last 4 years, is amazing if you can have the cash register go cha-ching and the owner doesn't need to be there, right? But that's kind of like a get to second base kind of thing. And then third base is we're rounding out coming home and we're actually investing profits driven from our home service business into real estate. Maybe you don't like real estate. Maybe it's stocks that are your thing. I'm talking about something that can go up 8%, 10%, 15% per year that doesn't require your mental bandwidth because, home service business, I don't have to tell you, if you're running it for more than all of 25 minutes, there's going to be something that goes wrong, right? Customer will be upset, vehicle will break down, a marketing campaign won't work, someone's going to quit, a check's going to bounce, there's going to be bad weather, you got to push back a project, someone's going to book in with you and then say, actually, no, we got someone cheaper. All these things happen, right? That don't happen over here generally with a stable long-term asset. So that's the strategy right there, right? Drive profit from your business, net free cash flow, slide it over here and do some investments. And for a lot of you watching, maybe you've not bought your first home yet, right? Again, this isn't financial advice, but generally what I've seen is when you live in your home, at least in Canada, we have a capital gains exemption. When you live in your home and it goes up in value, you don't have to pay tax on that. So in my case, living in a nice home that goes up in value is actually a great investment strategy, right? And once you get that happening, then you can look at doing rentals and doing stocks and doing other things. But I'm just telling you, if you take a long-term approach with this thing, the worst thing you can do is make like 100 grand, 200 grand from your business and not be putting any of it aside for retirement or for, future investment, because you want to build long-term wealth. And eventually it'd be so nice. I would love for you to look up one day in 5 years, 10 years, 15 years and say, man, I've got these different rentals going on. I actually don't need this cleaning business anymore. One of the companies I'm actively consulting right now, he literally has done so well on the rental side right now. And he's had his business for like 14, 15 years. He doesn't need his cleaning business anymore, right? So we've constructed a plan. He's put 2 managers in place to run the day-to-day. So he's only needed in his business now about 5 hours a week, right? He doesn't need the income from the cleaning business anymore. And I'm like, man, you've literally achieved that cycle I'm talking about of running the bases, right? But again, back to point 1 of delaying gratification, it took this member like over a decade to make that happen. And that's just where patience really comes in, right? I wasn't touching real estate until my 5th year as an entrepreneur. It took me 4 years to actually figure out how to make 100 grand from this bit, like not revenue, but my 4th year of an entrepreneur, we did $315,000 in my painting company and I made 102 grand on the bottom line. That's where I could actually say 42,000 from that 102. I'm going and buying real estate, right? And today, maybe 42 grand in your market doesn't get you somewhere. Maybe you've got to partner with someone. Maybe you want to go in with family. Maybe you want to put, of the 40 grand you've got, maybe you want to throw 20 grand back in the business and you want to make 20 grand out and go with, into stocks. I'm not telling you exactly which way to go. I'm just telling you the worst thing you can do is just sit on the cash flow from your business and fuel your lifestyle and not have anything to show for it. You want to think long-term about this thing and you want to build wealth. So those are just 3 really simple strategies, 3 tried and true principles. And I don't want to just make a content like this and say, oh, I did this for 1 year and worked really good for me. Like I've been doing this since 2009, having a trades business, make money, moving it over and building wealth. And I'm only 35 today, so it's something I'm just going to continue to do. And I'm just going to keep training things to you on this channel that I believe are tried, tested, and true. Because there's enough cool thumbnails and smoke and mirrors that tell you, oh, start a cleaning business, you're going to make millions of dollars in your first year. Like it's just generally, it's not been my personal experience. And it's not one that I've really seen now consulting hundreds of companies all around the world. You want to get your thing built up and profitable. That requires delaying gratification. You want to learn to delegate so you can have a small team help you run the day to day. And then the step 3 is you want to move the funds into those assets long term, right? And it was for me, if you want to, I'll leave a resource for you. It was for me reading Rich Dad Poor Dad by Robert Kiyosaki. I was like 17, 18 years old, just finishing high school at the time. And that quadrant that Robert talked about really taught me, man, like a lot of you listening right now, you're in that S quadrant, that self-employed. You can make money and clean windows and paint houses, great. But that bottom quadrant, it was like investor and business owner, right? Can I get my business running with a bit less of me, right? And then can I actually move money from business owner into being an investor, right? That's really where true wealth is built. Because again, we don't talk about this. Compounding interest is one of the most powerful forces on the world. And you can compound interest in a negative way with credit card debt and buying brand new vehicles for your pressure washing business, or, $75,000 skids when you don't even have a full schedule. Or we can actually build good interest and actually build an asset in our business, and we can start to build real estate and stocks outside the business. Again, don't go and invest in 49 different things that you got to check stocks every morning and it's going to pull you from your business. That's why I love real estate, because you can set up a property with good tenants and have monthly cash flow coming in. Yes, there is some sweat equity needed, a handful of hours every month or two, but it's not needed that bandwidth. I can keep my bandwidth in my business to continue growing it. Because again, your business as it's coming up is going to have enough problems to solve on a daily basis. So let me know in the comments if you got any value from this. I want to try and bring value to this year that is very applicable to your business, and not just like generalized theories, but actually like, hey, this is the stuff I did. This is what I'm teaching. This is what I'm currently doing. And here's some wisdom that I generally see is just not preached on podcasts on YouTube in today's day and age, that you can make all this money crazy fast. I don't want to be doom and gloom, but I want to be realistic. And I want to tell you what's working for me and working for our members here at Home Service Business Coach. So all I ask, if you're on YouTube, put a comment here with your biggest takeaway that you got from today's video. And if you're on the podcast and you've not done it yet, go ahead and leave me a rating and review. Tell me what you think of the show. But I appreciate you guys, and I'll see you on the next episode.